What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Sporgo. And today I want to talk a little bit about the current event that we have going on in the game because I'm feeling some kind of way about it right now, guys, especially compared to the past events that we have had. So in this current event, we do have the two new characters in Shizuru and Lady Guinness. And as always, the two new characters and the banners are amazing. We have one amazing support in Shizuru. We have one insane damage dealer in Lady Guinness, even though Shizuru is also a really amazing damage dealer. And that's fantastic, right? Namor always does a really great job with the characters. And then we also have the card banner. Now, this is honestly, to me, probably the best part of this update. I'd say maybe other than Shazura, because this actually can work on multiple fighters in the game, especially balance type fighters that have blast skills. This is really, really OP and has made some of our older characters a whole lot stronger than what they were before, which is fantastic, right? It's a really universal set to pick up and buy. And I like that. That is phenomenal. The other thing about the event, and this could be good or bad depending on how this ends up turning out later on, whenever the Aegis challenge opens up, is that, whenever you do your pulls in here, you can get a whole bunch of those nuts for the Aegis challenge. Now, some people are going to feel some kind of way about that because, you can get a whole bunch of nuts from here. So as you're running through this thing, it might pay off getting these things in order for us to do a whole lot better in the Aegis challenge. So for those of you that's like for me on my free-to-play account, I'm not pulling on this at all. So it's going to be interesting to see how that free-to-play account does against the Aegis challenge whenever it unlocks, because I'm not getting any of these things. I haven't done any pulls on that account whatsoever. So that might be a big caveat to this update versus past updates, because in past updates, you didn't have to do a bunch of pulls to get a certain resource in order to be able to do more damage in the game mode that you're going to be trying to get an EX generic memory from, right? Whereas in this event, that is the case, guys. That is the case. But at the same time, it does incentivize and motivate people to pull for the characters on top of the characters being really, really strong, or just pull for these cards. So depending on how you look at it, it's kind of good and bad. Also in this event, we do have the Rush Dungeon. The Rush Dungeon is just fine. It's the same old, and that's really, really great. But we also have this tower. Now, I really felt like this tower is super underwhelming, guys. You can see I haven't done it, and that's because there's really no excitement for me to do it. And I think for a lot of players, right? I mean, obviously, if you're leveling up your characters, getting these shards is a must-have, right? And that would be the main reason you do it. And they do have some rubies in here, but the final reward in this thing, honestly, guys, to me is kind of becoming a joke. A BS and SS memory mystery box, right? Where you have, one of these 6 characters that you can get. We are at a point in this game where the BS characters really belong in the unlimited banner. They belong in this banner right here. I've talked about this before, but they absolutely belong in this thing. They do. Or they belong in a separate banner that's called BS SS Memory Banner, something like that, right? They belong in a completely different banner. BS and SS characters have been surpassed for a tremendously long time now. They're just not as relevant as what they once were. Don't get me wrong, they can still be useful. But take, for example, whenever you look at a certain character like, let me see. Let me find a good BS character that we still use today. So we have Iori. Iori's a really good SS character to have because he has this core that increases damage by 30%. And that's awesome, right? With the weaken. But let's see, increased damage by 30%. Oh yeah, now we have characters that increase damage by 100% just from their skills or from their core at level 90. They don't need to be A5. Level 90 is more than enough. And a lot of those characters have way more survivability than a character like our man Iori, right? So, I mean, they could either, like if they're going to keep giving us these BS and SS memory mystery boxes and these towers and keep putting them in these KOF passes, then I really think they should bring back buffing up our old SS and BS characters. If this is their plan, if this is their strategy, they really should be buffing up these old characters, because if they're not going to buff them up, then the only reason you really want to level them up is for your codex, so that way you can gain more attack, HP, and defenses throughout your entire roster. And, we have these little events like the Lady Guinness dice game, which is fine, right? But again, a BS and SS summon ticket. It's like, come on, man. I mean, these shards are good, but only for those players that are really trying to get those last imprint stones for Zuru and Lady Guinness. I mean, the puzzle pieces. I mean, it's really it seems, I mean, at least it feels to me, guys. Let me know how you feel in the comments, but it feels a bit underwhelming in all honesty, especially after the collaboration event that we had that was actually freaking awesome. You know, Netmarble always seems to put more effort in these collaboration events, and it's fine that they put a lot of effort in them, but they really should put the same amount of effort in these new events. Then you have the crafting event, which is pretty much the same old, same old. You have the puzzle quest, which is fine. You have the bingo, and that's nice, right? But then we have the Aegis challenge, and here's what I don't like about this thing. So the Aegis challenge is really, in my opinion, so far been a bit of a bummer because we're not playing anything, right? In the past events that we had with the Kim Capwan and Alexandrite event, the very first day of the update, we were able to play those game modes, use different characters to try to accumulate as many points as we could for the carnival to try to get that EX generic memory. Whereas in here, we're just collecting nuts. We're collecting nuts over and over and over, and we're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Now, when this unlocks, maybe it'll be great. Maybe it'll be awesome. But I mean, if you take a look, guys, at, what's actually going to be in here, you'll see that it's just going to be another normal dungeon like what we've done in the past. So they gave us the Aegis challenge. We were just farming and farming for those nuts, trying to, boost certain characters. And I did tell you all to wait until the last day before you do that, unless you know which characters you actually want to boost up. It feels like we're just doing the same thing. It's just now we're adding some materials to try to help us get buffs in this specific game mode, which is why they put those nuts in the banner. And I had to say, so far, I really prefer the way that it was before, but I might change my tune. Whenever that Aegis challenge opens up, I might change my tune. I might think it's great. I might think it's awesome. But the other thing that I liked about it was, you had, 3 weeks or 4 weeks to be able to acquire enough points in the carnival to be able to get that EX generic memory. You can see that this is going to last for 2 weeks instead of 3 weeks or 4 weeks, which gives you less time to accumulate enough points for this Aegis challenge point reward to be able to get that EX generic memory. They're showing 11,000 points here. I'm really curious to know if this is actually going to be better than what it was before. So say, for example, on my free-to-play account, right, considering I'm not getting any of those nuts from my pulls because I'm not doing any pulls, how well can I do? Now, the thing that does give me hope for this banner is a lot of people are speculating, including myself, that we're only going to be able to use specific fighters in this thing. But I do feel like it's just those specific fighters that are just going to be getting these buffs from adding those nuts, right? Whereas the other fighters that we put in here won't. But the true testament of this new system is how easy will it be for everybody to be able to get that generic memory? I mean, that's really going to be the true test of this thing, and I just don't know. I really don't know. Like on my free-to-play account, I've been able to get the EX generic memory so far from the past Alexandrite event and the Kim Capwan event, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it from here because since I didn't do any pulls and I didn't gather all those nuts, I'm not really going to be able to boost up, that many characters in here, right? And that might screw me and other players that are in the same situation as myself, because, they're going to get the groggy is going to be applied to them, right? And when groggy is applied, they're not going to be able to do anything because it is like a stun effect. So I'm really, really curious about this game mode, about how this is going to play out. But I have to say, guys, like this new system that's been implemented in the game, it just feels kind of boring because there's really nothing new in this event that we're doing, right? We just had the tower. I mean, we've always had dice games and we've always had, all these other little things that they put into the game, right? With the bingos and stuff. And these are all fine. But it just doesn't really feel like there's anything new and different, except for the fact that there's a new system here where we have to acquire a bunch of nuts to add buffs to our characters in this game mode. But the main way to get those nuts and to get the majority of them is from doing your pulls. So I'm not really sure how I feel about it because, like I said, in the past updates where I didn't do any pulls for certain characters, I was still able to get that EX generic memory on my free-to-play accounts. So let me know how y'all feeling about this event. Do you feel it is lacking? Because there really isn't a lot to do. We just have that one tower. We just have these normal things that we've done over and over and over. And how do you feel about this system of the Aegis challenge? The fact that we know that to get the majority of the materials that we need, the nuts that we need to level up our characters to prevent from them getting groggy and so on, to increase their power, that you're mainly going to have to be able to get those nuts from the actual banner. And do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? And I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. GQ+7 time. The link is in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See everybody. Take care.